Hey there, Professor, look what I brought. Now tell me what's my rock.
All right, I'm here with Cheri. Thanks for coming in today, Cheri. And what town do you live in?
Redlands.
Redlands, okay. And what do you got for us today?
Well, I have a rock, and I've been
Okay.
trying for a long time to get it figured out what it is because it's so
Yeah, let's see.
heavy.
Oh, that's very heavy.
It weighs 6 pounds or 6 something, I think.
Okay. Yeah, very heavy, very dense, and it's not particularly shiny. And I'm just looking at it. It's got this texture here is kind of looks a little melty right there.
Yeah.
This side here is a little more smooth, but still kind of irregular. There's a little bit of little brownish tint in there, a little brownish color. There's also some irregular, like a little tiny mini cave in there or something.
Yeah, I tried to break it right there with a hammer and a chisel, but it just bent my chisel.
Yeah, it probably would. It looks pretty.
It's pretty
It
hard.
looks like it's a pretty hard material. So why don't you tell me what do you know about where it was found?
Well, a friend of mine had a route, his vending machine route from Vegas to Santa Ana,
Okay.
and he got a flat tire on an incline, and he needed something to prop the wheel.
Okay.
And I helped him roll coins when he was done with his route. When he came through my town, he
You
would
you
stop
helped
in.
him roll coins.
Roll his coins
Oh,
from the
right,
vending
because he's
machines.
working in a vending
Yeah.
machine, of course. Okay.
And he knew I collected rocks, so I had rocks all the
Sure.
time, I think. So
Okay.
he said, "Oh, here, I got a rock for you. It's really heavy." And I thought, "Wow, this is neat."
Okay.
And
So he was on somewhere between Santa
somewhere
Ana and
between
Las
Santa
Vegas.
Ana and Las Vegas.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a pretty big area. That's about.
It is.
That's 5 hours of driving. He didn't give. He or
He
she.
just said
She
it
knew-
was a desert because he said he couldn't get help from anybody. He was like in nowhere,
Right.
so he probably wasn't that far out of Vegas.
Okay, so he was somewhere out there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing we're gonna do, let's see if it's magnetic. Have you checked to see if
Oh
it's
yeah, I
magnetic?
threw a magnet over it and it made a U-turn.
So okay, look at that. I put a magnet right there, and it's clearly staying on the side.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not falling off. So it's definitely magnetic. So what do you think it is?
Well, I've seen some online before. It's some concise, or I don't know if that's what you call them, meteorites, and it kind of looks similar to that. In the bottom part where it looks like it wet paint and somebody went like that to it,
Uh-huh.
it looks the same as that other one.
Yeah, it does kind of. I agree. It kind of looks like wet paint, and
Yeah.
that's a good way to look at it. So you think it might be a meteorite, or you hope
think
it's
I'm
you're
hoping it
hoping
is,
it's a
yeah.
meteorite. Okay. So if it is a meteorite, it's going to be what we call an iron meteorite, and we call it an iron meteorite, but it's going to be mostly iron, but it's going to have a pretty interesting amount of nickel. Nickel is another element, and it's going to be about 10% nickel. So what I'm looking for is a not just iron, but also nickel in there. Also for a meteorite, I'm looking for the outside of the meteorite to look like it experienced some melting as it traveled through the atmosphere. Usually what that looks like is you get it's sort of a smooth look to it, but it has these thumb-size imprints in it, and it's sort of like waves of heat going over the outside of a meteorite. So I'm looking for that kind of a texture to it. This texture here doesn't look like that to me. This although it looks like it's been melted somehow, it doesn't quite have that sort of wavy, like someone imprinted their thumb into it. But I think the best test that we're going to do is we're going to figure out the elements that are in here. We're going to figure out the chemical composition. So you're familiar with the periodic table? Sound familiar?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, well, you've heard the elements, right? So like oxygen, hydrogen, helium, iron.
Yeah.
So these are all common elements. Nickel is also an element, and so what we're going to do is I'm going to zap this with a special instrument right here. We call this is an X-ray fluorescence spectrometer, or we call it XRF for short. And I'm going to zap this rock. We're going to shoot X-rays at this rock, and I'm going to put it over here. You're not in danger.
Okay,
you're only if you put your hand, you're going to get zapped by X-rays.
I can't even
don't
reach that far.
I don't want you to be zapped by X-rays.
No.
So I'm just going to put it over here, and there's a little window in there, and X-rays are going to come out of there. They're going to shoot onto this rock. And what they're going to do is they're going to send out energy that we're going to be able to use to identify the elements that are in the rock.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're going to do that right now. So we connect.
Boy, I bet that's handy.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, that would be.
It's a nice thing to analyze here. Okay, so I connected, and I'm going to start the analysis. And already I can see there's a lot of iron. About 50% of this is iron. And there's nickel has a very, very small number. So I can see already that there's very little nickel that's in this rock.
Okay.
So remember, I'm looking for about a roughly 10% nickel, and this is showing up to be like far less than 0.1% nickel. So it's just a sniff of nickel. So this is mostly going to be iron. There's some calcium in there. That gives me a clue of what I think this is going to be. Yeah, what I think this is a piece of slag. Have you heard of slag before?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when people try to make iron. They take iron ore and they burn it with, say, charcoal, and what that does is convert the iron in the iron ore from an oxidized iron to a metal iron. And people do that in the desert routinely. I've never actually seen people do it, but it's funny. People, I don't know, they're just out there making slag, trying to make. They're mining iron ore. They're trying to make metal, and this is something humans have been doing for hundreds of years, right?
Okay.
And there's a little bit of calcium in there as well. And so calcium is something is an ingredient that people use to make iron ore. You add some calcium oxide into your mix, and then you burn it with some charcoal, and it'll take iron ore and turn it into metal. And so what happens a lot of times, they'll be out, someone's making their iron ore, maybe it doesn't work very well, or they try and it's just the result isn't as good, so they'll just toss it, they'll leave it in the desert.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
And so I think that's what you have here. So the composition, the chemicals in here are not what I'd want to see to be able to identify it as an iron meteorite.
Mm-hmm.
The outside part of it does not have the correct texture for an iron meteorite. Yeah, that's right. It's not just that it's smooth, but it kind of has these little I wouldn't call it Swiss cheese, but it has these little imprints on it, almost like you got a piece of clay and a bunch of little kids poke their fingers in it.
Oh, okay.
Right? Something kind of like that, usually.
Oh, I see.
Okay. So I'm going to say the best identity for this, in my opinion, is that it is a piece of slag from somebody's homemade steel making facility.
Well, it fooled me because it was just so heavy.
Yeah. Well,
I never had anything that
you're
heavy.
right. You're right to be like, what is this? This is not something you come across every day. It's definitely more dense than the average thing.
Oh yeah.
So what? You got something else in there?
Well, I have just this little friends with it.
Yeah. So these to me look like chunks of some kind of quartz right here. Yeah, this is a piece of what we call jasper.
Jasper comes like that? Okay.
Yeah, and these to me look like they're really dark, but I think these are chunks of quartz. Do you mind if I try to scratch it?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the tests for quartz I like to use is I just try to scratch it with a metal file. You can use a nail, any kind of an iron nail or a file like this. So let's see if I can scratch this thing, and it looks like I made metal marks. on the surface of this thing instead of scratch it. So what that means is that this is harder than metal, and it is going to be some kind of a quartz or something that's made of the same elements that quartz is, which is silicon and oxygen. So that could be something like, it could be quartz, it could be a rock that we call quartzite, it could be something called chert, flint. This is a jasper, it's made of the same stuff. So you've probably heard of flint before.
It's the stuff that goes in a lighter and stuff too.
The other thing about it is that it's very, these are very, things that are made of silicon dioxide are very durable. So people tend to find them. They don't erode very easily. They're very hard, and they survive. They survive being in nature. This thing right here, this looks like a piece of sedimentary rock or something, but I wouldn't call this a meteorite. Actually, I'm going to call this looks more like it's an igneous rock. It came from a magma than it does a sedimentary rock. So that's what this looks like to me.
Igneous?
Igneous. So that means it was a magma. It's like a granite or something like that.
These are weird. It looks like somebody barfed cottage cheese up and it turned brown.
Huh. This one looks like this could be a slag, or it could be, I've seen these before, but someone brought one of these in. They're very irregular looking on this side.
Yeah, they are.
There's a lot of holes in it, and it looks like it's a little brown, so there's probably a little bit of iron. This is probably mostly iron and silicon, so I think this is probably going to be a chunk kind of similar to this jasper right here, but it's more it's also going to be hard to scratch. Let me see if I can scratch it. I don't think I'll be able to. Yeah, I'm not scratching that at all. So this is another thing that's made out of silica. Tell you what, why don't let's go ahead and zap this one, just to see what we can get.
Okay.
You came all the way here. You deserve a little extra X-ray.
I waited a long time. We tried before the pandemic.
You got an X-ray?
Here.
Yeah, sure.
We
sure.
tried, but we couldn't. You said wait till after the pandemic. So.
Let's give you that. And we haven't even been here 30 minutes, so you deserve the whole show, I think.
Oh, okay, cool.
Hopefully it's good.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start it. And we should get, there's iron in it, a few percent iron, a little calcium, a little potassium. Not a huge amount, but some, a few percent. Potassium and calcium, these are common elements that I'd expect to see in rocks.
That thing is neat.
Yeah, it's fun.
But those things are expensive, though.
It's only $50,000.
Only $50,000. Yes.
There's our silicon, yeah. Big chunk of silicon in there. Silicon and aluminum.
Aluminum, that's really weird because I see aluminum is like foil. But
Well, that aluminum foil, it doesn't come out of the ground looking like that. It comes out of the ground. It comes out of the ground oxidized, and so you have to make aluminum slag.
Oh, okay.
The same stuff that you use to make iron ore.
Oh,
The same stuff we use to make iron metal is the same kind of a thing people use to make aluminum metal. So this one's a little more complicated than I thought, but it's still mostly silicon. There's other stuff in there. There's aluminum. That makes me think that this is more of it's just more of a complex mixture of stuff. This could be a little chunk of basalt, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Could be something we call a quartzite. So it has a lot of quartz in here, and then there's other impurities in there. The thing is, I don't see a lot of detail in here. Besides, there's a lot of it kind of looks like there's little bubbles in here, which you'd expect in an igneous rock. And this side, this side kind of looks like an eroded bit of some kind of a lava rock. It's hard to say without cutting it open. But no, there's some little bits there that look like crystals in a lava. I think that's probably what this is. This is probably kind of a chunk of basalt. Same thing with this one. Let's zap this one. I think this one, this could be a little chunk of basalt too, but that's still a material that has a lot of silicon in it. And also it's not going to be able to be scratched. What about if we use this to prop it up? There we go.
Look, it's
That's real professional.
so, yeah.
We're doing it here.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Figuring it out.
It's just raising it up. I have to do that with, I breed Shih Tzus, and I have to do that with some of my males sometimes because they're just too short. So I'll make a little board that I can put around the backside, so they can make babies for me.
Wait, some of the, what is this for?
Shih Tzus, I breed Shih Tzus.
Oh, Shih Tzus.
Yes,
Okay.
I have a 3.5 pound male, and he's full grown now. He's like
A full grown.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's so adorable.
You breed Shih Tzus, okay?
Yeah.
All right,
I
that's
love
awesome.
him. I love him.
You want to hear my Shih Tzu joke?
Yes.
I went to a zoo.
Yeah.
All they had was a dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
That's pretty good.
Okay. All right, we're gonna zap this now.
Okay.
So the male is 3 pounds. 3
3.5.
3.5 pounds.
Yeah, he's Adobe marked black.
Wow.
He's gorgeous.
All right. Does he have a Napoleon complex because he's so small?
No, he's pretty. He's kind of shy. He's kind of shy, but he thinks he's a big dog.
Yeah, they usually do, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me put my glasses on so I can see this darn thing. Okay, we're getting a lot of calcium in here. We're getting a lot of more calcium than I thought we were going to get. We're getting some manganese. So this is more complicated. This is not, I was wrong. This isn't just pure silica. This is more of a complicated rock, probably a volcanic rock. Calcium comes from a mineral called plagioclase feldspar, which is something we'd expect to find in a basalt, which is a lava rock.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of silica in here, actually. Magnesium, aluminum, silicon, a lot of calcium in there, and a lot of iron. This one is definitely more complicated than just a plain old rock. Something with this much iron, a lot of calcium, not a lot of silicon. So this is probably another piece of slag that just has more calcium. They use more calcium oxide in it than this one. So I think these are probably the same kind of thing. But did this one, this is not really. Let's see if we can make this. Aha, see, look at that. I'm able to pull the magnet. This one actually is a little magnetic. So I think this is a piece of slag.
Okay.
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 So that's a small, that would explain why it's kind of got these little, you know, it looks a little bit different. That explains why it's a little bit darker. Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering because, yeah, it was pretty dark.
And this one here is, this looks like it could be an igneous rock. Let me have a look at it with my hand lens again.
What's the difference between igneous and, what's the other one? Sedimentary?
Yeah, sedimentary rock is just like, think of like dirt that sits on the, imagine you swept your house and there's a big pile of dirt in the corner. And just leave it there for 1,000,000 years and all that dirt becomes a rock, right?
Yeah, it becomes one.
Right, and igneous rock, you have to melt it. To make an igneous rock, you take all that dirt and then you melt it and it becomes a magma or a lava, and then it cools and becomes a rock. Yeah, this looks like some sort of a volcanic rock, a little chunk of a volcanic rock. This is a very dirty rock, though. It's kind of hard to tell.
Oh.
Some rocks are dirty, and that's kind of funny to say, I know. It's not.
Yeah.
Aren't all rocks dirty?
Well, it's a rock. It comes out of the dirt.
It comes out of the dirt. Yeah, I think that's what we got here. It's been altered a lot, but I think there's enough of a little bit of these crystals inside there that look like some sort of an igneous rock. But I think that's what's going on here. It's probably actually looks like a metamorphosed igneous rock. That means it came out of the ground as a lava or something, and then it sat around and reacted. That's what I'm going to call that one. All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Cheri, for coming in today.
You're
It's
welcome.
fun to see your rocks.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, Dylan. So we just saw Cheri with, she had a whole bunch of rocks, but mainly she had that one big giant honking one. So what do you think about that one?
That one, when she initially pulled it out, I will not lie, I was like, this might be one of our best candidates.
Yeah, right.
I mean, just an initial kind of like glance at it, but the more that you looked at the details, didn't really kind of pan out. So what were, like we said, iron, and what were the other major
There was a lot of calcium in it.
Yeah,
Fair amount of
okay.
calcium in it.
And then nickel was down, you said like 0.1% or something.
Barely any nickel. I mean, I hardly believe it was even there. So,
Yeah.
It was like, 450,000 counts of iron and like a few hundred counts of nickel. So
Okay, yeah.
I didn't even I didn't bother to look at the uncertainty on that, but it's a very small amount. I mean, it's not weird to have a little bit of nickel with iron.
Yeah.
But you need a lot more of it for it to be a meteorite.
Yeah.
So
significant percentage. So yeah, and I think we seem to be identifying a lot of slag lately.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what people are collecting. And
yes, that's what catches their eye, and it should catch their eye because it's weird. They instinctively know that something is a little off about it compared to all the surrounding natural materials, and so it's probably going to be slag from here to forever.
Yeah.
So one day someone will bring in a meteorite.
I hope so.
So what else? She had a whole ton of just small stuff too that just kind of
little bits and bobs of in the minerals and such.
So one piece I think was another piece of slag. And the others are just kind of a mishmash of silicate material, either sort of relatively pure silica, and also just some of the stuff is just rocks of unclear origin, probably metamorphic or maybe metavolcanic or something.
She got a nice jasper there. I mean,
Jasper was cool.
It was pretty neat, but I mean, at the same time, wasn't a meteorite like she might have been thinking. So
not a meteorite.
Yeah.
Nothing in there. But... Alrighty. Well, there you go. Another day in the books.
Yep.
All right. We'll do it again next time.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I've seen it all. That's why they call me a professional. I know you're proud of what you got, but this rock ain't worth diddly squat. squad. I'm not saying that you'll never be wealthy, but this preoccupation doesn't seem healthy. Don't give up your day job, you better keep it a hobby on the weekend.